Good morning. Today is March 7th, and I'm trying to reflect on the unique experience that I had with Reddit. I didn't know what it was all about, but the people who directed me to it was Joe Harrington from UK, who is a reporter, and she said it's like a billboard where people can ask questions and you respond, and many people will be able to ask the questions and see my responses. So I thought that was a unique way. I still don't exactly know how that works because for me, technology is still so challenging. I don't understand how the radio, you turn on a little button and voices come from all over the world. So Reddit is in that category, just much more advanced. But I liked the fact that I knew that lots of people could ask me questions, and the responses came from Germany, from Italy, from England, from Canada, lots from United States. Lots of Germans were very interested in what I had to say. I know that many Germans have great difficulty with my forgiveness. They are impressed with it, but they don't really understand it because when I talk to them, they tell me, how can you forgive Hitler and Mengele? And I say, well, can I change what happened? And then of course, they say no. And then I say, well, do I deserve to be free from what was done to me? And they say yes. I said, no, please tell me, how can I become free of all that? And they don't have an answer. So I want them to think, and I want people who see this broadcast, what's called Eva Chat, that you, if you have similar problems, if you are angry with somebody, that you give it a thought and see if you can help yourself, because I think people can help themselves a lot more than most of us realize. Life is a challenge. It can be beautiful and it can be very traumatic. When we experience trauma in life, particularly, none of us ever look for it, it just happens. As I often joke with people, I have never seen anybody say, who wants to volunteer today to be a victim? No hand goes up. So how does it happen that any person becomes a victim if nobody ever volunteers? There are people who I believe are evil people, sick people in the head, misguided people who want to take away other person's power and rule their life and their mind and their body by force. And when that happens by force, as it happened to me or to many other people, even to children who are abused by their parents, they have no power over it. What do you do with all that? Does the person who is victimized deserves to be free from what happened? I want to address one thing that really bothers me, because just recently, with all that tweeting, I received a tweet from a gentleman who is a son of a survivor, and he is running for mayor, and he said that that is wrong. What I did according to Jewish tradition, forgive and forget, that is wrong. And I said, I despise the statement forgive and forget. Who on earth invented that? Let's remove it from the English language, from any language. It's incorrect. Forgiving does not mean forgetting, and I want to emphasize that, because if anybody's life is changed forever because of what happened, how on earth can anybody forget it? It is part of who I am. It is part of any person who has been victimized, no matter what they will do. But what I look at it as rising above the pain, acknowledging the pain, but not letting the pain rule me and the anger rule me. When I rise above it, I have the power, not the perpetrator. And I will read you a few tweets that I have tweeted because I really like them, and I will read them slowly, that relate to forgiveness and to my attitude toward life. This is what I say: live life on such a way that when you look back, there aren't too many days that you wasted on worry, anger, or revenge. Life is beautiful. Celebrate life because it's good. Tweet 2. Our minds are like a garden, and if we don't cultivate them and plant flowers, the weeds will grow. Let's plant hope, peace, and watch them grow. I will repeat that again because it wasn't clearly. I want to also explain that came from my wonderful mother, who used to have a hanging on the kitchen wall, embroidered, said that the mind is like a garden. And so I kind of took that off and translated it. Our minds are like gardens. If we don't cultivate them and plant flowers, the weeds will grow. Let's plant hope and peace and watch them grow. And I can tell you that it all starts in a human mind. What we think here, that is the way we act. Tweet number 3, which deals with forgiveness. Forgiving creates a feeling of wholeness in thought, spirit, and action, moving together as a force for healing, empowerment, freedom, and peace. And that is 100% correct. A person like me who forgave, I am not divided against myself. And I can tell you, in your life, I am sure you have seen, even to you it might have happened, that you were doubtful about what you were doing. When you are doubtful about what you are doing, you are divided against yourself. Therefore, you cannot move in one direction with all your faculties, mind, spirit, and action. And the power comes from the conviction that forgiveness, it's the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my life. You don't need anybody's approval. You don't need anybody's acceptance. You don't need a permission because you are not hurting anybody. It's free, so every human being on the face of this earth can afford it. It works. There are no side effects. And if people try it and you don't like the way you feel as a powerful, free human being, you can always go and take your pain back. No one will stop you. So in my opinion, there is very little to lose. Now, people sometimes ask me, so I am angry with somebody, I'm angry with my situation, with my life. What do I do? Very, very simple. Take a piece of paper and decide that you're going to write a letter of forgiveness to the person who hurt you or harmed you or you're angry with. And start working in that direction. I have no idea how long it will take you to finish the letter. It took me 4 months. I had a lot of pain to work through. But I also want to emphasize that forgive everybody who has ever hurt you. Because if you have some people you have not forgiven, your anger and pain will continue. Not this person I forgive and this person I don't. It's a blanket forgiveness, because otherwise you still remain a victim. I also talk about forgiveness is the best revenge and is a gift you give yourself. I believe in the power of forgiveness to heal the world. Let me repeat that because that's pretty important. Again, costing nothing. Forgiveness is the best revenge and is a gift you give yourself. I believe in the power of forgiveness to heal the world. From the moment we forgive, the perpetrator has no longer any power over our lives. We are in charge of our lives. What a beautiful thing. Up to the time I forgave, I did not understand that. I thought that up to that time I was reacting to what anybody did to me. And now when I decided to forgive, I initiated action. So I for there was in charge of my life. How many times in our life can we do that? Most of the time we are all somewhat a victim to the circumstances and we react to what's happening to us. So that is a very important factor. So I'll read the next one because as I read every one of these tweets, I can even explain it for you. I believe that every person has a human right to live free of the pain imposed on them by other people, society, or life. I believe that forgiveness should be a human right defined by United Nations, advocated by United Nations, and help the victims in the many countries accomplish that human right. I sent them a document that I put together in 2008 called an addendum to the human rights. And in that, I described that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights has everything in it. How to help with medical issues, with legal issues, with food and shelter. But there is nothing that we give the victims who are liberated from tragic place, that they have the power to heal their own inner pain, because this is where the problem really lies. If we understand what happens to victims, if we are not helping them learn or teach them to forgive, they hold on to that pain and anger and pass it on to their children, grandchildren, as a family legacy. And as time goes on and situations change, the children or grandchildren have an opportunity to get even with the children or grandchildren of the perpetrator. And it becomes a vicious cycle that never seems to end. I can describe to you one event when I met with the late Dr. Munch in 1995 in Auschwitz to sign the Declaration of Amnesty and the documentation of the gas chamber. And we gave many press conferences. And there was a German reporter from Der Spiegel magazine, a very, very famous magazine similar to Time magazine in the United States. And he was very interested in the story. And 2 years later, he wrote a nasty story about Dr. Munch and me. And he described Dr. Munch as a good old Nazi. He gave Dr. Munch's home address, and Dr. Munch's house was firebombed 3 times. By this time, Dr. Munch was close to 90 years old and was somewhat senile. And so I called Mr. Bruno Scherer because I was very upset with what was happening. And I asked him, I said, Mr. Scherer, I have never ever heard of any responsible journalist that would put in the address of a citizen. He said, well, my grandfather is a survivor of Auschwitz, so I finally got even with the Nazi. I said to him, you make me sick at my stomach. This was the only Nazi who ever was willing to testify what went on there, and for his willingness to testify about the operation of the gas chamber, you made sure that his house was firebombed. Ought to be ashamed of yourself. But I don't think he understood what I was talking. He was bent on revenge, and that was his agenda. And what on earth did he accomplish? his own feeling that he can beat his naughty children up. That was his own revenge. Nothing is accomplished by revenge. As I said in my film, Forgiving Dr. Mengele, revenge has never healed one single human soul. Let me read the next one, because as I am explaining all this and why I was using these tweets in my tweeting, my hope is that people who hear my story of forgiveness will become our ambassadors for peace. Will you join us and become our peace ambassador? Well, that is a purpose that I cannot do the world peace by myself. I can talk, but I need a lot of help. This is a very big world and a very troubled world, and I need everybody's help. So yes, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had an army of volunteers who are becoming peace ambassadors by learning and teaching forgiveness? I will tell you that I lectured in Germany, and that was a unique experience for me. I even met with members of the Bundestag, the German parliament, and I was trying to tell them how important it is for them to advocate forgiveness. And one of the members said to me, Mrs. Kaur, you are very naive. You don't understand that if we advocate as a government forgiveness, the neo-Nazis are going to eat us up alive. So I realized that maybe the government's job, all governments, have a job in protecting their citizens, and therefore they will do everything that they can to protect the citizens. But that doesn't mean that we, the citizens, if we are damaged or harmed or hurt, that we should remain damaged, harmed, and hurt, that we can heal ourselves. We can advocate it wherever I speak. We can teach it in universities. And United Nations would be the best place for that to do, but I have no great hopes for United Nations, because I must share with you a very sad experience for me. In 2009, just the day Obama was inaugurated, I received a telephone call unrelated to his inauguration, but I remember it because it was the same day, from the United Nations representative who called me. I was supposed to host a film showing of the film Forgiving Dr. Mengele at United Nations on January 27, 2009. They seen the film, they were going to show it, and suddenly, and we sent out a lot of emails to friends. Many people made arrangements throughout United States to come to New York and attend that lecture on the 27th. So I think that that was about 9 days before that. And all of a sudden they say, we canceled your film. And I said, excuse me? You were going to show the film on January 27th. No, we just canceled it. I said, why? Well, there were a couple of survivors who said they didn't like forgiveness. I said, did you see the film? This representative who was in charge of the program said, no, I haven't seen. I said, you mean to tell me that you approved the film without ever seeing it? Oh, my assistant saw it and they liked it. I said, but your assistant didn't cancel it. You canceled it. Why? You don't even know what's in it. Isn't United Nations there to try to advocate reconciliation and peace in the world? Well, of course, he had no answer for me. But that is what happened. United Nations is not doing its job. They are very good at pointing fingers at other people, but if they can really help and mediate between two adversaries, they are doing a very poor job of that. It's a simple film that they can show it. I sent it to them. Doesn't even cost them a penny, and yet they refuse to. So I need the rest of you who listen to my little presentation here to join my army of ambassadors, of peacemakers. Maybe we don't need United Nations. We can be our own ambassadors in spreading the word for peace and forgiveness. That would be interesting to see. And maybe if you want to get back with me, you can tweet. My tweet is at Eva Moses Core. Or you could email me at evacore@abcs.com and see how many of you are interested in becoming peace ambassadors. What is a nicer job to do? You don't need any extra training. You need to understand and maybe practice it for yourself to realize that you have power over the pain that somebody else inflicted upon you. And the last tweet that I have here, it says, any of you looking for happiness, find a meaningful cause that is bigger than you are or any one person can be, and make a difference in someone's life. And I can tell you, the letters, emails, telephone calls, and tweets that I get, that I don't have any particular power. I am just a survivor who triumphed over Mengele, over Auschwitz, and triumphed over anger and hatred. And if we can all do that, we can all become a powerful force for good, because this world does need it. And even as today, I don't know, you will see it and look back at your situation and see if you're angry with anybody. Start writing a letter. Just yesterday, I received a tweet and an email from a woman who said when she was 13, and kids at age 13, we know in junior high, particularly 8th grade, 13 and 14, they are very, very mean to one another. And she was bullied by one of the kids in class. She hated that girl. In the meantime, she moved away. Now she's 18. And she decided when she saw her to forgive her. And they became friends. And she said, yesterday actually was this other girl's birthday. And she wrote a letter of forgiveness as a gift to her for her birthday. And I asked her, how did that work? And she said, her new friend loved that gift, was the best gift that she has ever been given. And they are going to become now good friends. And I added in my email to her some very famous words of our late and great president, Abraham Lincoln. He said, and I always like that quote, the best way to defeat an enemy is to make him a friend. Can you imagine if anybody, what is more profound than that? When you defeat an enemy by becoming friends, that is better than anything else in the world. Now I realize that we cannot become friends with all our enemies, but we can stop being enemies. We can stop hating one another. And if they hurt us, if we forgive, and let's see how it works. So I would be very, very interested in hearing from all my friends whom I met through the Reddit. The Reddit was a very unique experience. I shall cherish it. I remember seeing my little cell phone. It was really, the numbers were jumping all over the place so fast. And so since then, I haven't had that big a response. And I was talking to my friends here at the museum, and I said, my goodness, what can I write or think or relay for people to retweet it 20, 30, 40 times? I don't have a endless source of smart things to say. All my smart things that I say are my own personal experiences. And some people like it and some people don't. But I can tell you, when people stop following me or don't retweet it, I wonder why don't they? I think it's pretty good idea what I am giving there. So I am not sure. If I were a very famous person, um, like Helen DeGeneres, and took a selfie and put it on the internet, everybody retweets it. Now, what's the big deal about a selfie being retweeted? Are you learning anything from it? Oh, Helen DeGeneres is very nice. I really like her. I mean, she's very pleasant, she's clever, and she's intelligent and all that. But the selfie, what does it really do? So that is a famous person for you that you want to send around. Now, I would prefer if people sent around something more meaningful than a picture of a famous person, because that does not change the world. And just because you can retweet it, that doesn't make you super smart either. It just means that you are joining the crowd. I had here yesterday a group of students, and I always like to see these high school students. They come in and with a big, I am somebody, I'm important. And then I tell them they have to sit on the floor because we don't have enough chairs for everybody. And that is the most convenient way for me to see all the faces because I want to connect with them. And they were looking at me. I said, well, I am in charge here, and I am a tough cookie. And since I have severe pain as I'm talking to you in my left shoulder, I am even naughtier than I am usually. So you better listen to me or you're in trouble. So they sat on the floor. And I realized that growing up, as I looked at them, every single one of them looked a little bit different, dressed in their crazy outfits, colorful designer clothes. And they thought, oh, we are flaunting our designer clothes. Here is a Nike or a Jordache or whatever other labels there are. And I said, you really think that you are somebody because you can afford these clothes? And I looked at them and they said, yes. I said, but you are not. All you can tell me is that you have the money to afford that designer clothes. Let me tell you, I know that the designers won't like me, but that's okay. They haven't supported me very much anyway. So I guess it's okay not to like me. I bought an outfit once because I liked the coat. It was reversible. I liked the colors. And I removed the buttons. And I was wearing the coat, and somebody said to me, isn't that an onier? I said, I don't know. I knew it was. I said, why are you asking me? He said, because it looks like. I said, no, I don't see any buttons here. I don't want anybody to think that I am somebody because I can afford an outfit. What I am deep inside is much more valuable than any designer clothes could ever indicate. And that is true, in my opinion, for all you young people who want to be somebody and you cultivate your exterior but maybe neglect some of your interior. What I have inside in my mind and in my heart is 10 times more valuable and more precious than any designer clothes could give me. But we are paying a lot more attention to our outer shell rather than how we feel about inside. But I guarantee to you one thing, if you feel good about who you are inside, you are not going to need any designer clothes to make you feel good because you are going to understand how shallow and unimportant that is. Oh boy, I have given you a lot of ideas. It is difficult to grow up, but remember, we all do, and you will. Don't give up on yourselves. Don't give up on your dreams. As I like to say, there is always hope after despair, and there is always a tomorrow after disaster. And if you don't give up on yourself and on your dreams, you're going to accomplish everything good in life. It was nice talking to you, and I hope next time I talk to you, my shoulder will be much better. How did that go?